Joined now by a man with much better chest hair than me, T-Bob Hebert.
All right, here, let me go ahead.
Oh, look, yeah, let's go.
Sex sells. Sorry.
ESPN Radio Baton Rouge. Also, Snaps.
Yes, host of the Snaps
Incredible podcast with Aaron Murray.
Check it out. Me and Aaron Murray. YouTube.com/@SnapCFB.
There you go.
_
Love the plug.
A bit unwieldy. Just Google Snaps.
NASCAR driver level plug there.
Look, bro. I'm
impressed.
Like I told you, I talked to you about it. We're going independent with it now, so I'm going to whore myself up at every
Listen, I am the same way. I'm walking down Radio Row like, let me tell you about On3. But you're a Bengal Tiger subscriber, so you're getting your LSU stuff from On3.
You do not have to tell me about On3.
Yeah.
I love On3. I always thought about it as just a recruiting website. But what I found to be very interesting ever since I subscribed, and to be clear, I host like a daily radio show, right? So the recruiting stuff, because I don't want to do the legwork, it's awesome for that because it's great for my audience and whatnot. But what I love is just, it's the coverage.
Yeah.
It's just all the coverage of the college game and being able to dive into whatever team that I'm interested in and getting insight that I wouldn't otherwise. And from the national guys, local guys, no, I mean, look, we all know Shannon's got quite the we to create these things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It seems like y'all have done it again and even better here at On3.
We are having a lot of fun because we are trying to kind of capture the entire country.
Yes.
And so for the college football sicko, for these people who, like us, like our big question, and you've been answering this, I imagine, on your show over and over and over again, like my big thing today was, LSU's here. I want to know how they're going to use Harold Perkins. Tell me how they're like, and I guarantee there's a bunch of people in our audience that's like, that's all they want to know about.
Well, you know what's crazy? So here's a sign of how good Harold Perkins is. Last year, he had 15 TFLs and like 5.5 sacks.
Yeah,
which
is a decent season.
I mean, look, the D end from Ole Miss that's here today. I'm blanking on his name. He had like 5.5 sacks and like 11 TFLs, right? And it's it's a great year. But he was such a phenom freshman year. Yeah. And he literally won games. We saw him win you multiple games. The Arkansas one was unreal, right? And so so last year it's like, so I do this all to say, to give you an idea of the potential. That we all thought last year sucked and he was invisible, and he put up numbers that most people would actually be very excited to put up. So then you're like, okay, well, what's he going to do this year? The guy that is the key to making all of this work, and we actually have data here that we can point to, is new defensive coordinator Blake Baker. Yeah. When he was he came to LSU in 2021. That was after that disastrous COVID year. LSU goes 5-5. Yep. Bo Pelini's the D coordinator. Damone Clark was the middle linebacker. Damone Clark, I think I called multiple times that year, like, this is the worst linebacker play I've ever seen. Like, watching film, breaking down, it was mind-boggling how bad it was. Blake Baker shows up. The next year, Damone Clark had 130 tackles, 16 and a half TFLs, 6 sacks, like 4 forced fumbles or something. Like, it wasn't just good. He went Super Saiyan in a single offseason. So we know the potential of Harold Perkins. We've established it. We give him a D coordinator that we have seen prove it on that level.
Look what he did with Tyron Hopper last year at Missouri.
Exactly. Yeah. Made him as well, right? And so there's a lot of evidence that would make an LSU fan very excited about Harold Perkins getting back to being a superstar. And I talked to Baker the other day, and I brought up Clark just to kind of butter him up and, give him his roses, be like, that was a crazy transformation. And unbidden, he made the connection to Perk. He was like, and look, what I saw to Clark in the spring when I got to know him and I started to be like, this is actually how we're going to do things. He said he feels like he's seen the same returns from Perkins. And so it's like Brian Kelly said, man, this whole event is a great opportunity for the world to get to know Harold Perkins, because we don't really know him beyond just what we've seen him do on the field.
He's got a hell of a grill today. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not seen it.
It's tremendous.
Bro, I get
very shiny, like silver all the way.
Bro, I brought my daughters to. They're 6 and 4, and they love LSU gymnastics. We love going to the meets. Electric, by the way, like 15K in that building. It's awesome.
100%.
I brought them to gymnastics practice the other day, bruh. The cars in these parking lots now Are you shitting me? Everybody used to have, like, you know, your dad's Tacoma from back in the day, or I don't know, an Alario.
T-Bob played for LSU
07 to 11.
07 to 11. So,
and there were a couple Chargers. Maybe a couple Chargers mixed in the bunch.
But they were stock Chargers that somebody bought off a rental, like that a rental car company got done with them, and you bought the stock Charger for like $18,000.
And now it's like that car's, and I'm not a car guy, but I mean, I have some knowledge. Like, that's $100,000. My brother-in-law is obsessed with cars. Showed me one. He's like, that's a $300,000 car. I'm like, what? I didn't even know who was getting out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, are you on the basketball team? I don't even know who you are.
Do you feel like you missed the offer? Like, I feel like you would have done incredibly well in the NIL era, even as the center.
I love, I want to be clear about this. I love everybody being paid. It is way past due. Labor, I'm always going to side with labor. So hell yes, it is awesome. The product is better. I love everybody being paid. I am jealous that I am jealous that we were not given the same opportunities, because I would be making easily more than I'll ever make in my adult life.
Well, as I asked you, so T-Bob and I were hanging out by the pool when we got here, because you know that's guys like to let their bellies hang.
Yeah.
And look, SEC Media Days, bunch of reporters. That's where you want to go to the pool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot of. I mean,
the finest athletes in America running around here.
You know, some of the print guys, you know, it's also nice to compare yourself to. But like but seriously,
But I asked you, were you in a Boosie video? And see, you could have been in a Boosie video, and they could have paid you for it.
But you know what's
Although
crazy?
I don't know if Boosie ever paid anybody to be in a video.
You remember Jordan Jefferson?
Oh yeah.
He so he manages a bunch of these young cats. He's kind of I don't know if he's technical titles agents, but he put together a lot of NIL deals. We were at Stephen Ridley's wedding a little while ago. Congrats, Rid. And you know, we're drunk and talking, and I don't know if he's just blowing smoke, but he was like, bro, you'd have been making $800 to $1 million a year. And again, I will never snip that. So there's a bit of like, but I want to be clear. It is vastly outweighed by, I am happy for these guys. Turns out it makes sense. You should be able to get paid for the fruits of your labor, like to make money off of your talent.
If 80,000 people are in the case of LSU, 100,000 people show up to watch you, there's some demand there. All right, speaking of people who make a lot of money, let's talk Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Because he's done well at LSU so far.
Yeah.
But what is the view of Brian Kelly locally? Because last year is so strange. The offense is so great. You've got a Heisman Trophy winner. You got 2 first-round receivers. And the defense is maybe as bad as we've ever seen in LSU defense, but they're still a double-digit win team at the end of the day.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm a firm believer that maybe unless you're like an Alabama or a Georgia, 10 wins is just a magic number.
Yeah.
Right? So if you go 9-3 regular season, you better get to 10 with that bowl game. I know we act like bowl games don't matter, but 9-4 and 10-3 feels massive in terms of setting the tenor of the offseason. So I think Brian Kelly's been really good through those first 2 years. There's definitely been your downsides, right? The game 1 debacle against Florida State, where like special teams, extra point block, all that stuff. Last year, in hindsight, not too much shame in losing that Florida State game at all, right? That was an awesome team, deserved to be in the playoff. But I guess the overall point of it is, I feel like nationally, there's an idea that like, are people upset? Like, shouldn't we be like, shouldn't he be knocking on the door for a championship? Blah, blah, blah. I feel like locally, people are pretty satisfied. Yeah. Now, obviously, this is year 3. It's going to be massive, and it's going to come down to what do you do this year. I would say this season, 9-3 would be okay with the majority of people. You're definitely still going to have people, some people up in arms, naysayers and whatnot.
And that may or may not get them into the playoff. It just depends on what
I don't think 9-3 is going to.
I think you got to be 10-2.
I think 10-2 has got to be that's the magic number.
Yeah.
And if you achieve that, well then, okay. That's that's a bona fide success. And what's weird is, had LSU won either season over the last 2 years, they would have been 10-2.
Yeah.
Like generally in this era of LSU football, if you've done that, you end up 10-2.
Yeah.
And so if you beat USC, then I think there's actually not a bad chance that you find your way to 10-2.
I was talking to our friend Braden Gall about that, and he said, he's like, that feels like a game that we'll take the wrong message from.
In what way?
That one of the defenses is better and one of them's not, and you're like, everything's fixed. It's going to be great, whoever it is.
It's a lot. I would say, like you said, narratively, that matchup is so fascinating because Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley have been inexorably linked since the coaching search.
Happened on the same day, and they have the same agent.
Also, Lincoln used LSU as a smokescreen,
right?
Saying, I am not going to be the LSU coach. Didn't say anything about USC.
We talked about that on the show a few weeks ago. It was genius.
And then and then LSU used Lincoln.
Right.
Because that's whatever they thought that's who they were going after, and they were secretly working the Kelly deal the entire time. So from day one, they've been linked in a weird way. Now they're both entering year 3. They both lost their Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. They both had these horrendous defenses, spent millions of dollars remaking the defensive staff. So there's so many similarities. The only thing is, I do think objectively, LSU's in a much better spot, which is why I think this is the most important game of Brian Kelly's time at LSU, and it's not even close. Not even close.
So
not even the SEC championship, nothing, because he has to prove, first off, to win an opener.
Yep.
But beyond that, like, USC was not good last year. You still were a 10-3 team.
Right, exactly.
Like, you should. Miller Moss, I don't think is Garrett Nussmeier. I'm kind of a Miller Moss naysayer. I didn't think the bowl game statistically impressive. I didn't think the film was that impressive. Like, LSU has to win this game. If they don't, that's a bit of a disaster.
And the thing is, for people who assume, they lost the Heisman Trophy winner, they lost Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., I don't worry about this offense very much. I feel like Garrett Nussmeier, it's the old school succession plan that used to be what every school did, and now nobody can do it anymore.
And, Andy, we both know this. Where does it all start?
All
starts up front.
Yeah.
And LSU has the best O-line I've ever seen.
You're not saying that. It's not hyperbole.
No. Now, granted, I if you want to narrow it to, probably for me to accurately say, the best O-line I've ever seen at LSU, as a fan or covering it.
Yeah. Or as a player too. You had some amazing teams.
No, definitely as a player. I was a part of an O-line where we went undefeated and everything, but nobody made the NFL.
Right.
So we were just a good blue collar college group of O-linemen.
Yeah, they're sitting there with 4 or 5 starters who will make it to the NFL.
Will Campbell will not. I'm pretty sure. We got to look up his birthday. I know he's 20 right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think he turns 21 till after the season, and he's number 1 on the athletics big board.
Yeah, he's a top 5 pick.
I've never seen an offensive lineman come in, go 3 years, no redshirt, 3 years, and before he's even 21, we're viewing him as the number 1 draft prospect.
Well, I'll tell you, I was at Tennessee in the spring, so I got my first look at Lance Hurd.
Yeah, oh God, he's a monster.
And I'm watching him move, and I'm like, oh my God,
he's unbelievable.
And Will Campbell and Emory Jones are better than him.
Yes, yes.
That tells you what you're dealing with at LSU.
I mean, I'm so bummed because Lance Hurd it felt like he was you just weren't going to miss a beat. But again, it was just like,
he's stuck behind him. What's he going to do?
He can't, because Emory Jones is also awesome. And then it's like Lance, if somebody's, and this is where the economics of college are fascinating nowadays. And this ties into Kelly as well, because he had the quotes about basically saying, it's not that we don't have the money. It's about, can I justify? Is it a smart use of resources? They couldn't pay Lance Hurd more than they're paying Will Campbell.
Right, and they couldn't pay Dominic Williams or any of those defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And so I got on Kelly about that because I thought the we don't buy players thing was disingenuous.
Well, yes. That was what he
said.
That's
what
true.
He said after that in that same interview, which was, we didn't like the price tag on these particular players, was the truth.
That's the actual takeaway there.
Yeah.
And that's funny to watch coaches have to navigate that, because it's it sucks. You want to keep a guy like Lance Hurd, but if Tennessee's going to pay him more, then you just got to let him go. Yeah, because you cannot pay the backup more than the starter. You just can't do it.
And that's also how talent gets distributed more equitably. Because in your era, you guys were stockpiling. The defense that was opposite you guys your senior year.
Oh, bro, it's crazy.
Is probably the most talented defense we've ever seen.
I mean, we had Benny Logan running scout team. I think it's a sophomore, and then he ended up being a top 3-round pick or something a year or two later.
Yeah.
It's same thing with Michael Brockers. It's just, so that's what I love about this era is I was so wrong. And you never know in life when something seismic happens, what the ripple effects will be.
Yeah.
And I was so wrong. I thought that this was all going to lead to a further concentration at the top, right?
Yeah.
I thought the haves would get stronger and the have-nots would get
Everybody
poorer.
just go to Alabama, take the money, and just sit on the bench.
And nothing could have been further from the truth.
Yeah.
We have had this incredible smushing where, like you said, the top teams can no longer stockpile, so those guys filter out around like a triangle going like this. And then now you have from below, the group of 5 and all these other guys that prove themselves, they now get to spread out on these teams. And so all of a sudden, and you're not doomed because you messed up one recruiting class at this position one year.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's actually leading to such a better product overall and a way more democratized college football, which I would have never thought.
So in the SEC, though, are Georgia and Alabama still kind of separate from everybody else?
To me, they are. I know I'm higher on Alabama than most of them.
I am very high on Alabama. I think we're in the same place on them.
Yeah. Kalen DeBoer did more with less than anybody in the country consistently, and now he has more than everybody in the country. And tell me this. Find me a quarterback who to one of the top quarterbacks that is more poised to take a massive leap than Jalen Milroe. There's not one.
Yeah, he's very raw going into last year.
Bro, it's only 1 year starting.
Yeah.
Look at the improvement for the beginning and the end. Understand that now he enters this year with, I mean, there's no bigger difference I found than your first year starting to your second in terms of the game slowing down, confidence, all that. We all thought Tommy Rees was some kind of Wunderkind golden boy. Nobody even thinks about him anymore. I kind of don't think
you look at what Kalen DeBoer did, not just with Michael Penix Jr., but with Jake Haener.
That's what I'm saying.
With Indiana version of Michael Penix Jr.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So, we kind of now know that maybe Rees was a bit trumped up and maybe not actually this extra normal talent. We know DeBoer is.
Yeah.
So you give him second year starting, way more stable environment in terms
incredible
of the
offensive line. Now, he had a good one last year.
Where he sits on the depth chart. Great offensive line. An offensive genius who is more proven than anybody at consistently winning with less. And you give him clear areas to improve, which is in the short to intermediate game. Yeah. And it all lines up to Jalen Milroe should take a massive leap. Now the weapons are a problem on the outside, right? And so we have to see if he can overcome those. But I hate it. And again, guys, I hate Alabama in my soul, right? Like down in my nuts, my toes, wherever. Like my RNA hates Alabama. So I say this all very begrudgingly, but just that's my read on it, is that they're not going to miss a beat. And Texas and Ole Miss still have to prove to me that they belong to be in that Georgia-Alabama conversation. And
we will find out. And we get some of the new blood. Got Oklahoma coming, got Georgia coming.
Oof. Oklahoma's fascinating.
Got Tennessee coming. Got Missouri coming. That's it. So in this lineup on Tuesday.
Yeah.
4 potential playoff teams.
I know. And you know what's crazy about Oklahoma? First off, I think they had the most confusing year ever last year, where they win 10 games, they beat Texas, but they also blew it to the point where they allowed Texas. They didn't just blow it for them personally, but in blowing their own chance at a Big 12 championship, they put their arch rival back in, put them over into the playoff. Like, it could not have been a more disastrous 10-win season.
Yes.
10-win regular season than what Brent Venables did last year.
But here's the thing, and this is what I keep coming back to. They beat Texas last year.
Yeah.
They can beat Texas this year, too.
100%. Yeah. Well, this is where Oklahoma gets fascinating to me, is Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, Mizzou. All teams that I think are either going to be 9-3 and not make a playoff, or 10-2 and make it.
Yeah.
Who gets over the hump? They all play Oklahoma. Every one of them plays. So Oklahoma,
and the Auburn fans are all like, hey, we also play them.
Get out of here. Auburn, but Auburn, I don't think Auburn factors into this conversation.
No faith in Hugh Freeze here.
But I'll say that I like Hugh. I like Hugh long term.
I think Hugh Freeze is going to beat somebody and ruin their year this year.
He will punch up, absolutely. Yeah. But I guess the point is, I view Oklahoma as the playoff gatekeeper. Because whoever wins that game likely finds a way to 10-2.
Oklahoma is Gandalf on the bridge.
They are, yes. You shall not, or you shall. That, you have to find a way. What the Balrog could not do, you have to find a way to get through Oklahoma.
You knew I had T-Bob on. I was either going to get to Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. We made it to Lord of the Rings first. T-Bob, thank you so much.
Andy, thank you so much, brother. Take it easy, man.
Yep. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.